Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is Roman, the true football fan, with you guys once again today. And I know I have not uploaded a video in a very long time, but the reason being is because it was my birthday last week, actually a week ago today on Tuesday. And I'm 18 now. I was born on June 17th, and I'm 18 now. And it's pretty great. I was super busy last week, so I had not had time to upload. I was going out all the time. I was waking up early, getting out of town, and I was super busy. I'm 18 now, get my car soon, should be getting a job. I'm super pumped. I've been having a great time with all my friends and such, and staying here at the house a little bit with the family. But I decided to relax a little bit more and to get away from YouTube just a little bit, just to practice a little bit myself, and get back down to work today. And I'm going to be starting with more football stuff. I'm going to be focusing a little bit more on football. I'll do some movie reviews. I'll talk about big breaking movie news, maybe a little bit of video game news. And I know I slacked on the E3 2 weeks back, but it was getting ready to go into my birthday week, and I was super busy. So what am I going to start with? And it's going to be a new little playlist that I have, and it's going to be the team previews for every single team in the NFL this upcoming 2014 NFL season. I decided to give it a little bit of time from the NFL draft, and to let teams get into the mini camps and OTAs and get things up and going again with football once again over on the practice fields. So when it first came out, the schedule first came out, I decided to do a breakdown of every team and their record and who they face. And this was before the draft. So I was like, oh, this is before the draft. I'll do it before the draft and compare it to after the draft. And so I'll have that for each and every team. But I'm going to be focusing one team at a time. So it's going to be 32 videos long. I'm going to do this and get it done before the football season starts, because a few years in a row I've not completed it before the season started. So why not start? It's June 20, I want to say 23rd. So actually June 24th, whatever. Same day, whatever, same thing. So anyways, I'm going to be starting with the Chicago Bears. I'm going to be starting in the NFC North and going forward to the NFC East, the NFC South, the NFC West, AFC North, AFC East, AFC South, AFC West. So I'm going to be pretty much going clockwise around North, East, South, and West. So starting in the AFC North, we're going to start with the Chicago Bears. And the Chicago Bears, born and raised a Chicago Bears fan, and born and raised just outside Chicago, so I was a pretty big Bears fan. But with the Chicago Bears, they had a lot of additions this past offseason, but they didn't lose very much. They didn't lose quite a lot. They kind of kept the same team. They added some players to a extended contract, which I'm going to get into a little bit. They added some great defensive linemen. They did pretty well in the draft. And I'm pretty interested with the Chicago Bears this year and what they'll be bringing to the table. And I'm going to be going a little bit into their schedule and how I see things playing out there. And then they really don't have any losses, so this video shouldn't be too long. But let's go ahead and get into the additions for the 2014-2015 Chicago Bears. Now, the draft came along, and they drafted a few players, but their first draft pick was cornerback. Not quarterback, cornerback. Kyle Fuller out of Virginia Tech in the first round. Now, at this point in the draft, they had Clinton Dix there, who the Packers have been eyeing for a very long time. The Packers have been needing a safety. So I was kind of confused as to why the Bears didn't take a safety, Clinton Dix, because last year, I believe it was Chris Conte, he blue covered so bad on Randall Cobb, and it cost them a playoff spot, and the Packers got in. So I was like, why didn't they take a safety? They went ahead and got a corner instead. But it's an issue they also needed to address, because their corners were slowly aging constantly. And they're getting older, that cornerback core. So, I mean, you've got Charles Tillman, who is aging, Tim Jennings, who is aging, and why not go out and get Kyle Fuller? I agree to disagree with this pick, because they needed a safety really, really, really bad. But then came news yesterday, Monday, that the Bears had signed safety Adrian Wilson, 5-time Pro Bowler, to a 1-year contract. This is a big pickup. Adrian Wilson, he's getting a little bit up there in age, but they needed safety help, and they didn't address the safety issue in the 2014 draft. So why not go out and get a free agent? And Adrian Wilson was there, and it was a great pickup. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed listening to them, do have this decision because I was just sitting down relaxing, and then all of a sudden it said the Bears have signed Adrian Wilson. If you can see flashes over here on the side, it's NFL Network. I should really turn the TV off. Excuse me. So, but they went out and signed Adrian Wilson. It was great news. Big news for the Chicago Bears yesterday. They also signed Ryan Mundy, safety, to a 2-year deal. Big deal. Ryan Mundy's okay. He's not the best, but he's also not the greatest. Who else did they add? They added running back, former quarterback of Northern Illinois University, Jordan Lynch. He was a quarterback there all years that he was there. And he goes into the draft expecting to be drafted as a quarterback, but the Bears sign him as a running back. This is a pretty big deal because Jordan Lynch is pretty mobile. He's a great runner. He's not a super great passer. Jay Cutler's the man there in Chicago. They signed a few quarterbacks, dropped a few of them. They got Jimmy Clausen, woohoo. But Jordan Lynch as a running back, I really like that idea. Matt Forte is obviously the starter there in Chicago. But Jordan Lynch is a great backup. I think it'll be a great fullback even. He might even run some routes. He might even play tight end. But we'll see. I really like that Jordan Lynch pickup. I also love the Kadeem Carey pickup. Now, being here in Arizona, I got to see Kadeem Carey play all of his years. So, Kadeem Carey is pretty great. He's pretty good. He was very good in college. But as we know, if you're super great in college, that doesn't mean you'll transpire into a big star in the NFL. So, Kadeem Carey is another great pickup they had in the draft. They also signed defensive tackle Will Sutton, so they keep adjusting the defensive line. And that is without me getting to the two big pickups this offseason for the Chicago Bears, having one of the better offseason moves, trading, cutting, who we drafting, who we not drafting. So they also signed linebacker DJ Williams to a 1-year deal. Big news. They had issues at the linebacking core last season, cost them lots of games. So they went ahead and signed DJ Williams. He's not super great, but he's okay. Then getting into the big news for the Chicago Bears and their additions, they signed defensive end Lamar Houston to a 5-year contract. Huge news. Lamar Houston is an absolute beast. He's going to do wonders for the Chicago Bears on that defensive line. Issues they had all last season. They had absolutely no run defense. They couldn't do anything against any teams that had the run. The Vikings with Adrian Peterson, Reggie Bush, Eddie Lacy, they could do nothing. So bringing in Lamar Houston, this is big news for the Chicago Bears, and it really ups this team one more level. And with the biggest news of the Chicago Bears this entire offseason is signing defensive end Jared Allen, who formerly played for the Minnesota NFC North rivals, Minnesota Vikings. So signing defensive end Jared Allen is a huge deal because Jared Allen is a beast. He's a monster. He's just a huge presence on the field. He's a great leader. He's a great person to have on that defensive line. And to bring him to the Chicago Bears is awesome. I'm going to really enjoy watching Jared Allen play. I'm super excited to see what he brings to the table. But by bringing in Jared Allen and Lamar Houston, it's only really because of one big loss, and that was defensive end Julius Peppers, who's now on NFC North rival Green Bay Packers. So by bringing in these players, it's understandable. And the Bears really addressed issues this offseason. They have no issues on offense, maybe a few offensive line issues and question marks there on the offensive line. But on defense, they really addressed everything. They signed safety Brock Vereen. He's all right. They signed safety Ryan Mundy to a 2-year deal. It's a pretty good pickup. And they signed safety 5-time Pro Bowler Adrian Wilson. So they addressed the safety issue. Then they also addressed the cornerback issue by drafting Kyle Fuller, who was one of the better corners coming into the draft. There were plenty. Justin Gilbert, Darqueze Dennard. They went ahead and grabbed Kyle Fuller. Big deal for them. Hopefully, if he shows up and plays really well, he can end up being one of the Bears' longtime players, Kyle Fuller. So if he shows up, this Bears defense is going to look pretty great. Then on the defensive line, they signed Will Sutton. Huge pickup. They signed Lamar Houston. Amazing pickup. One of the best offseason moves. And then they signed Jared Allen, formerly played on NFC North rival Minnesota Vikings. So another great pickup. The Bears did everything they could to address their defensive issues because they couldn't stop the run. They couldn't stop the pass. They couldn't do anything on defense last year. And we all projected them to have one of the better defenses in the NFL. So by picking up these players on defense is huge news for the Bears. They've got to be ecstatic over there in Chicago. And on offense, they really have no issues. Like I said, a few question marks on the offensive line, but Jay Cutler is playing decent football, and if he shows up, that offense is going to be spectacular. And moving on to more like extended contracts and players that have already been playing on the team, but they're extending their contracts. Charles Tillman got extended. Cornerback Charles Peanut Tillman has a 1-year extended contract. Pretty big news. They needed Charles Tillman. They extended Roberto Garza's contract for another year, which is big news because they needed center. They need offensive line help as much as possible. So why not keep the players that are used to the offense already? Then they signed Tim Jennings, cornerback, defensive back, to another 4 years. Big news. Bears are really focusing on this team, on this defense. They really want wins. They want to win now, and they're hunting for the playoffs. Then they signed their star receiver, top 3 receiver in the NFL, Brandon Marshall, on the Chicago Bears. Absolute beast, this guy. This guy can go vertical, he can go short, he can go long, he can do post routes, he can do hitch routes, he can do anything. Brandon Marshall is a beast. In this 3-year extended contract is big news for the Bears. That means that they really have a lot of trust in Brandon Marshall to produce well for 3 more years. They didn't pay him super big Calvin Johnson money because they know that he might have a down season because it's happened before. So the big news comes for Jay Cutler because obviously the Bears have a lot of trust in Jay Cutler by signing him to a 7-year contract, which is a huge extension. One of the most highly paid quarterbacks this entire offseason. So by signing Jay Cutler to 7 years, it shows a lot of things about the Chicago Bears. They trust Jay Cutler, and they want to win now. Why bring in another quarterback that's not used to the offense that Mark Trestman has? And it's just kind of like, why would you do that? So why not just keep your quarterback for another 7 years? Keep Brandon Marshall for 3 years. Sign your corners. Sign your centers. The Bears are planning to win now, and from what I see, these extensions and these pickups and these contracts that they've been giving out obviously shows they want to win now, and the Bears are completely capable of doing it. It just depends on how their season goes. With Matt Forte at the running back position, underrated, underappreciated. Matt Forte is an absolute monster. He's a dual threat. He can catch, he can run. He's super smart with the football. Never fumbles a lot. Then you've got Brandon Marshall, absolute monster, top 3 receiver in the NFL, on one side of the ball. And then on the other side, you've got Alshon Jeffrey, who emerged as an absolute star last season. If Alshon Jeffrey shows up again, this Bears offense is going to be spectacular once more. That was with Josh McCown throwing the ball for a while. But when Jay Cutler returned and when Jay Cutler played, Alshon Jeffrey was still playing great football. So was Brandon Marshall. They have such great chemistry on the field as that offense because they've played together with each other for so long. And that's not it. They've got tight end Martellus Bennett. Martellus Bennett, he's not super great, but he's not super bad either. He's a middle-of-the-pack tight end. He's very good. He's got great hands. He takes care of the football like a tight end should. He's a great blocker. He's a really big dude. So this offense is primed, absolutely primed to have a top 5 offense in the NFL. They've got everything. They've got 2 great receivers. They've got a decent quarterback. And they've got a really underappreciated running back, top 10 easy, and a tight end that's not super great, but not super bad, but right in the middle. It all comes down to Jay Cutler. If Jay Cutler stops throwing interceptions and starts making better decisions, then this Bears offense is primed to explode beyond levels we could have never imagined. They're so good. And if Jay Cutler, goes vertical more often and he trusts his receivers more, and I think that's what it comes down to. I think Jay Cutler has an issue with trusting a lot of players on his team. I don't think he likes to take risks, but when he takes risks, it's at the wrong time, or it's a bad throw, or it's the wrong decision. And if Mark Trestman makes the right calls and his offensive coordinator makes the right calls and they make the right decisions and their offensive line holds up, Jay Cutler can be a great quarterback. Any quarterback can be a great quarterback. But Jay Cutler can take it to the next level by having 2 great receivers at his disposal already. Besides Jay Cutler, it boils down to the offensive line. By signing center Roberto Garza to another year, that, chemistry between the center and the quarterback, to make sure they're never off key, to make sure they always, know the calls, they know the signals. So by signing Roberto Garza, it shows that they want to win today. They want to win now. They want playoff wins. They want Super Bowls. This is what they want. And by signing these players and giving them extensions, this shows us what the Bears want. And they should have. They should be winning. They should be playing better defense, but they haven't been. They've never had a great defense and a great offense. And they've never had a great special teams either. I mean, recently with Devin Hester playing poorly and then moving on to Atlanta, they haven't had a great special teams. So who's going to return the ball? Is it going to be Alshon Jeffrey? Is it going to be Charles Tillman? Is it going to be Brandon Marshall? Whoever it is. The Bears want to win now. And by looking at this offseason, this is one of the best off seasons I've seen in the past 2 years. And they're competing right now, I think, with the Denver Broncos as the best offseason this season. The Broncos made a lot of excellent moves for their defense, but the Bears made even just as good moves. And they adjust everything. What they lost, they brought back. They lost Devin Hester, longtime Bear. I'm going to miss seeing him run back kicks for the Bears. Now over in Atlanta, which Atlanta needed. And then they lost defensive end Julius Peppers and was replaced by Jared Allen and Lamar Houston. Absolute monsters. So this Bears team looks primed to take off. And I'm super excited to see what they bring to the table this season. And that moves on to the schedule and what I predict the Chicago Bears will do this season. So the Chicago Bears have a Week 9 bye. So it's like really good bye week. I really like that bye week a lot. 8 games in the middle and 8 games at the end. So it's a great, absolutely great bye week. So Week 1, they play the Buffalo Bills, and I think they'll pull away with the W there in Chicago. Week 2, they go at San Francisco, which is a Sunday night football game. So Week 2, great Sunday night football game. It's going to be a very defensive game. But I think they'll lose to the 49ers there. Week 3, they go at New York Jets on a Monday night. Pretty boring Monday night game. I never really like watching the Jets on Monday night, but it should be interesting. But the Bears pull away a win there. Week 4, they take on the NFC North rivals, Green Bay Packers, so we get a little bit of rivalry early in the season with the Bears-Packers. And that is the Peppers. Julius Peppers returns to Chi-Town, Chicago. So it's going to be awesome. There will be some boos thrown out there, some cheers. There'll be some. If Julius Peppers sacks Jay Cutler, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be phenomenal. It's one of the key games to watch this season for the Chicago Bears, Week 4. But I think they'll pull out a win there in Chicago against the Green Bay Packers. Week 5, they go at Carolina. This is going to be a great game, but I think the Bears pull out a win there against the Carolina Panthers. Week 6, they go at Atlanta. And with the Bears and Falcons, it's a weird thing because Devin Hester is playing against his old team, which is awesome. But even better than that, the Bears and Falcons always have close games. If you look at their past, it always comes down to the last play. And who comes out on top? Not Chicago, but Atlanta. So I think Atlanta pulls out a win in the Georgia Dome against the Chicago Bears in Week 6. Week 7, they play the Dolphins. No major storylines here. But I believe they will take out the Dolphins fairly easy. And if you look at their schedule, they don't face a lot of their rivals early on in their season. It's more of just Dolphins, Falcons, Panthers, Jets, 49ers, and Bills, and one Packers game. So through 8 weeks, when they face the Patriots in Week 8, they face one NFC North rival. So this has got to be huge for the Bears. It means they have to really step up on the second half of their schedule. Week 8, they go to New England. Loss here. New England's too good at home. Week 10, they go back to Green Bay on a Sunday night game. Sunday Night Football, classic rivalry. But they'll lose at Green Bay, so they'll split with Green Bay. And there's a lot of headlines coming up for the Bears here. A lot of big games, a lot of important games. Week 11, they play the Vikings in Chicago. Jared Allen faces his old team. Played well in Minnesota, but it's time to show up for the Bears, and they'll face Minnesota in Week 11, and they'll pull out a win there. Week 12 is a big week for the Chicago Bears, and I think it's the biggest game on their schedule, hands down. And why is that? Because in Week 13, they face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, a lot of people are like, the Buccaneers? That's weird. Why the Buccaneers? They're not even an NFC North rival. Well, the thing is, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers decided to grab a coach. And not just a normal coach. It was Lovie Smith, former coach of the Chicago Bears before Mark Trestman. Big news for the Buccaneers. Needed help on defense and offense? Bring in Lovie Smith. And not just that. Josh McCown, who won and played excellent football for the Bears last season, is going to be playing against the Chicago Bears as long as he's starting. And this is back in Chicago. So could you imagine, you've got Lovie Smith coming back, you've got Josh McCown coming back, who was a big key player for the Bears last season on offense, and getting Alshon Jeffrey taken to the next level and bringing up Brandon Marshall even more. So by bringing back Lovie Smith, longtime coach there, brought him to a Super Bowl since 1980, brought him to their first Super Bowl since 1985, only eventually to lose. Big news. Week 13, I'm eyeing so hard right now. I mean, that sounded really weird, but Week 13, I've got my eyes set on Week 13 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Chicago Bears in Chicago. This is going to be a huge game. I hope they switch it to like a Sunday night game. I'd be really interested in watching it as long as both teams have at least a winning record by Week 13. But McCown returns and Lovie Smith returns. It's going to be crazy. I'm super excited. Week 13, Thanksgiving, Bears-Lions. Awesome. Super pumped. We get to see the Bears play on Thanksgiving. They're at Detroit, but I think they're going to lose here to Detroit. Week 14, another Thursday night game for the Chicago Bears, but they face the Dallas Cowboys, and the Bears always find a way to beat the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, it's always a blowout. I'm a big Cowboys fan, but the Bears just always find a way, and they're in Chicago, so the Bears should be beating the Cowboys on Thursday night. Week 15, they go at home. They stay home for a 3-game stretch, and they face the New Orleans Saints on Monday Night Football. The Bears-Saints always have a great game. I'm super pumped to watch them duke it out on the field. But I think the Saints are going to pull away, so it's another loss for the Bears. Week 16, they face Detroit in Chicago. Bears pull away with a win here. They split with the Lions. And then Week 17 at Minnesota. And this is where Jared Allen returns home to Minnesota to face the Minnesota Vikings. And the Bears pull out a win there. The Bears go 4-2 in their conference, splitting with the Lions, splitting with the Packers, but winning both against the Vikings. And this splits their season total. Well, this makes their season total a 10-6 record. Is that enough for the playoffs? I don't know. You have to figure out if you watch all my videos by the time I get done with the AFC West. With all 32 teams, I'm going to do a big breakdown video of the playoffs and what it's going to look like for each team and who they're going to be facing and how they stack in their conference and in their division. And you guys have to be there. So by starting with the Chicago Bears and watching, I've got the Green Bay Packers up next, then the Detroit Lions, and the Minnesota Vikings, and then so on and so forth, etc., etc. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. A lot of time and effort. My voice hurts. I have no water here. I have nothing to drink, so I got to end this pretty soon. It's super early in the morning. It's like 2:30. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Additions, losses. Chicago Bears had a great offseason. I'm super pumped for the season. They're only going to go 10-6. But we'll see. It depends on how injuries go and how things start looking more towards closer to the season. So I hope you guys enjoyed once more. It's like the third time I said it. Go ahead and leave a like button. Turn that gray like button a shiny, shiny looking green color. And then if you dislike the video, go ahead and hit that dislike button. It's your opinion, not mine. I can't tell you what you can and cannot do. Go ahead and comment. What is the Bears record going to be this season? What do you like about the Jared Allen pickup? What do you like about the Lamar Houston pickup? What do you like about the DJ Williams? What do you like about their draft? What about their losses of Devin Hester and Julius Peppers? Leave that down in the comments below. If you want to keep things updated, all things football, and keep updated on every team preview over the next few weeks, go ahead and hit that awesome subscribe button. It's a great word, subscribe, such a powerful word. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button to keep things updated football 24/7 with your host, with the most, Roman, the true football fan, once again. I hope you guys enjoyed. Go ahead and share this video and get the word around. I have a great time doing these videos for you, not for me. This is Roman, the true football fan, signing out.